What's going on, everyone? Fulton here, and thank you to all who have been very patient in me trying to get this video out. It's been kind of a crazy time these last few weeks with the holidays, and I got sick and work and trying to take care of myself and get all that other stuff done. So these sorts of things happen, but we're gonna have some fun with this one. We're gonna make this kind of brief. We're gonna have fun with it, and we're gonna talk about some awesome music. So, although it is the start of 2019, we're going to count down the top. We're gonna do 30 this year with some honorable mentions at the beginning. So top 30 records of 2018. Let's get started. And right before we get started with this list, I'll be posting the album art somewhere in this video. Some in the past have said that the glare and the focus on me showing the physical copies have been kind of, hard to read or hard to see at some point. So I'll just post an image and hopefully that will be easier. Okay, with all that being said, here are some honorable mentions that didn't quite make the cut. A lot of these were kind of comeback records from bands that haven't released albums in quite a long time, so they were cool to receive, cool to listen to, but they didn't quite jump out as much as I hoped that they would, but still worthy enough to get a mention. And these are in no particular order, just going to run through these real quick before we get started. Judas Priest with Firepower, Amorphous, Queen of Time, At the Gates, To Drink from the Night Itself, Bloodbath with The Arrow of Satan is Drawn, Deaf Heaven with Ordinary Corrupt Human Love, Decrepit Birth, Axis Mundi, Mournful Congregation, The Incubus of Karma, Orphan Land, Unsung Prophets and Dead Messiahs, Redemption, Long Night's Journey into Day, Sky Harbor, Sunshine Dust, Voivod with The Wake, and Seventh Wonder with Tiara. Again, all these were great records, just sort of wasn't as blown away as I hoped they would be, especially waiting as long as I did for some of them. But yeah, all of these are worthy of checking out and definitely worthy of being on this list. So that brings us to the beginning of this top 30 list. For the most part, this bottom 30 to 11 is sort of unranked. The top 10 is definitely ranked. I didn't really want to spend too much time and go mad with the minutia on splitting hairs and ranking everything. So if it made it to this list, it's definitely worth checking out. Okay, so starting off the list at number 30 is Cursive with Vitrola. This is sort of a me pick. There's definitely a nostalgia trip with the sound of this record. Cursive bringing back their original cellist and definitely making a record that sounded a lot like The Ugly Organ, which is one of my favorite albums ever. Definitely not as good of a record as The Ugly Organ, but again, it's sort of a nostalgia trip and I really do like that sound. Kind of bring him back with this one. So that was cool. Number 29 is Tribulation with Down Below. Their blend of sort of like the psychedelic 70s rock with the black metal atmospheres. It's really cool the way that they can do this. Kind of reminds me of Ghost or Deaf Heaven in a way, sort of combined, doing their own thing. It's cool. Definitely enjoyed this record. Tribulation with Down Below. Coming in at number 28 is a friend of mine from YouTube that I talked about, I believe last year, and talking about it again. It's going to be John Poulin with Loud Noises. Again, I really like this guy. I really love the music that he comes out with. Goes by the name Little Red Guitars 2 here on YouTube, and I said it in the last video, but him and I kind of had the same musical upbringing for some of the influences that we both have, and he makes great, honest music, and he works really hard. So definitely got to give a nice shout out to John Poulin once again with his new release, Loud Noises. 27, King Crow, The Persistence. This was a cool record, nice melodic, sort of atmospheric prog metal, prog rock kind of hybrid. Just really sort of ethereal, uplifting at times. Some cool riffs and a nice long play record. 27, King Crow with The Persistence. Number 26, this is a cool one. It's a solo record of sorts, although the presentation did sort of confuse me a little bit. This is Michael Romeo with War of the Worlds Part 1. If you know Symphony X and Michael Romeo's style, this is essentially Symphony X record just with a different vocalist. Definitely less guitar driven than I thought a solo record of Michael Romeo's caliber would be, but it still rocks. What can I say? You know, definitely exactly what you'd expect. I would have loved to hear a bit more instrumental, you know, I guess something a little bit different than what we've heard the last 2 decades with Symphony X, but hey, it's good, it rocks, it made the list. Number 26, Michael Romeo at War of the Worlds Part 1. 25, Vola with Applause of a Distant Crowd. Found out about this band Vola through Bandcamp a few years ago. Their last record was really cool. This was one that made a lot of train rides back from work very cinematic and enjoyable. So definitely worth checking out. Vola with Applause of a Distant Crowd. This next one's kind of a hard one, you know, emotionally, but definitely still a great record nonetheless. This is Riverside with Wasteland. Now, to those who have followed this band, knew that their lead guitarist, Piotr, had passed away several years back, and I was really sort of uncertain about the future of this band and what they were about to do going forward. And they have a new guitar player now, and Maurice is still continuing to keep the band alive. And, you know, this is a pretty solid record. It's a different type of Riverside, but it's still Riverside, true and true. So it's going to be different. I'm happy to see that they didn't just disband the project completely, and they released another great record for their catalog. Riverside with Wasteland coming in at number 24. Coming in at number 23 is Behemoth with I Loved You at Your Darkest. This was kind of a record that when I knew that they were releasing a new one, it had a lot to live up to when it comes to the Satanist. Satanist made it very high during that calendar year and was one of the best death metal records I'd ever heard. I'm not really quite sure if they were trying to redo the Satanist again, but it does kind of seem like some of these could have been done from the same sessions. It does sort of still have that vibe, although the atmosphere isn't quite as in your face, I guess. Still a great record from Behemoth, good enough to make this list at least. I Loved You at Your Darkest, number 23. Number 22 is Isan with, I want to try my best with this one, Amir, AMR, whatever. Great record, once again, from the once Emperor frontman, and I gotta say, this guy as a solo artist continues to just morph these very strange genre ideas and avant-garde tendencies, and you know, having the Leprous guys in his backing band, I mean, dude's in good hands, but, you know, his voice is still really strong. And those Aristides guitars sound really, really great on this album, gotta say. Good mix, good performance from everybody, and another great record from Isan. These next two are friends of mine, and they both released some really great records this year. At number 21 is Beast of Nod with Vampira, Disciple of Chaos. Progressive, technical, death metal, crazy vocals. I've had the pleasure of seeing these guys sort of progress over the last few years, and you can tell that these guys really love what they do. It's not just for show. It's really in their blood. And then coming in at number 20, there could have been shows where these bands were back to back. Actually, it probably was. This next one is Graviton with Per Erebus ad Astra. I believe this is actually their first full length. This is sort of a melodic thrash metal project with kind of technical death metal aspects. Again, these are guys that I all went to school with, and it's really great to see them finally bring something like this into fruition, because it makes me happy to see and seeing them have success. Two of these bands are really taking over the Boston metal scene. If they're coming to your town, definitely give them some love. I would love to see them get even bigger. Coming in at number 19, Omnium Gatherum with The Burning Cold. Again, this is another band that has continued to really be consistent. Burning Cold continues to reinvent melodic death metal, a genre that we thought was sort of tired and out of ideas. This band continues to refresh the genre and improve that melody is still very viable in melodic death metal. So I gotta give Omnium Gatherum another shout out. Number 19 with The Burning Cold. Coming in at number 18 is Obscura with Delirium, and again, this is another band that has been incredibly consistent. Even amongst certain lineup changes, we've seen guitar players, drummers come and go, but we still have the core Obscura sound, and I believe this is the last concept piece of their quadrilogy. It's definitely a forward-thinking approach while still encapsulating everything that made those records great. Crazy bass lines, incredible guitar harmonies, and really great vocals and lyrical content to boot. Once again, at number 18, Obscura with Delirium. Coming in number 17, In Vain with Currents. This is another band that sort of takes the progressive melodic death metal approach, keeping it afloat, and the clean operatic vocals were definitely the highlight of this record, as it was with their last full length. I don't think musically it is as impressive as their last full length, but the vocals definitely seem to have taken the front seat and really upped the ante on this one. Check the record out. Number 17, In Vain with Currents. All right. Number 16 is a really cool one. This is The Ocean with Phanerozoic Part 1, Paleozoic. Now, The Ocean have been a band who have certainly morphed and progressed over their duration of being a band, kind of starting off as being progressive sludge metal and then becoming more melodic as the years have gone on. You know, they have a track with Catatonia on this record, really creating a nice sonic landscape for the prehistoric lyrical concept that this album has. Really cool. Definitely worth checking out. Probably one of my favorites of their more recent catalog. So this is The Ocean with Phanerozoic 1, Paleozoic. Coming in at number 15, this is a really cool record, especially seeing as this person is still alive and with us. This is Jason Becker with Triumphant Hearts. Now, knowing Jason Becker, if you're a guitar player, you know that he's been suffering from ALS and Lou Gehrig's disease for a very long time, longer than anyone ever expected him to still be alive. And even that's a feat in and of itself, but Jason is a brilliant composer, and it was only a matter of time before a project like this came into fruition. He kind of brought the best team of guitar players that he could to represent the music that he composed, and probably the only way that was possible. A lot of the moments on this record did bring tears to my eyes. It was masterfully done. They're all just fans of what he was able to accomplish years ago, and they were just more than honored to be a part of this record, and I truly believe that they gave the Jason Becker name the justice that it deserves. Coming in at number 15, Jason Becker with Triumphant Hearts. Awesome, man. Keeping the trend of guitar players going for the next little bit, 14 is Joe Satriani, but what happens next? Again, this guy's been going at it for over 30 years and still continues to be very self-aware of where he is with every record. And what happens next is definitely a nice self-analysis of, you know, where can he continue to go with his guitar playing. But his creativity and songcraft and playing is still there. Dude's just a master, what can I say? Just Satriani, what happens next at number 14. We have the younger groups with Polyphia coming in at number 13 with New Levels, New Devils, another self-aware kind of title to this record, and the tonality of this record is definitely a bit different than their last few records, a bit more sort of manipulated and glitched out, kind of like modern hip-hop. Guitar is still in good hands in this current generation. Gotta say, these kids are amazing. So 13, Polyphia with New Levels, New Devils. Continuing on with this instrumental craziness is Mestis with Icacia. Sorry with the name, brother. Javier Reyes of Animals as Leaders fame, continuing to kind of take the progressive Latin instrumental gent project to new levels, and did it again with this one. I gotta say, man, this dude really is a great player. Javier and Tosin have certainly found a voice for the 8-string guitar that is totally different than I think most people were expecting. And Javier's techniques have definitely opened the sonic landscape for a lot of future generations of guitar players. Really awesome record once again. So this is Mestis with Icacia. Sweet. And to close out the bottom before the top 10, coming in at number 11 is C2A with Homebound. Now this is the sort of follow-up or sequel, if you will, to Set Course for Andromeda, which I talked about in the past. Great record. This is another fantastic record for this UK-based instrumentalist. And I gotta say, his guitar playing is phenomenal, and his DIY approach to drum and bass and mixing is continuing to be incredibly impressive. C2A, keep doing what you're doing, brother. You're doing the instrumental world fine justice. Good job. All right, getting into the top 10. These are the 10 records that certainly garnered my attention the most of the calendar year last year, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with this top 10. So let's get started. So coming in at number 10 is Tiny Moving Parts with Swell. Now it's been a very long time since a Midwest post-punk emo project has wowed me to this level, but this was my first exposure to this band. I know they've been around for quite a few years, but this record really stuck out with me, and the replay value on it is just through the roof. I must have listened to this, hundreds of times this year, and it's a nice flowing record. It's easy to sing along with, and it's easy to repeat, and catchy, technical, engaging, funny. It's got it all. Tiny Moving Parts with Swell coming in at number 10. Fantastic record. Number 9 is Humphreys McGee with It's Not Us, It's You. Now technically this is 2 records that were released, one after the other, but oh well. Together, these records are a good companion piece, and I love what these guys have continued to do. I mean, primarily they are kind of a live band, but their studio albums are very well crafted, and they just blend so many different styles, from classic rock to R&B to bluegrass to heavy metal to progressive rock to... It's still incredibly impressive. I mean, a lot of these songs do have kind of drawn out solo sections, but you can only imagine that it would be 10 times more epic seeing it live. Again, I know it's 2 records, but these really did go well together, and the second part was sort of a surprise. So coming in at number 9 is Humphreys McGee with It's Not Us, It's You. Coming in at number 8 is 4-Stroke Baron with Planet Silver Screen. Man, I remember hearing about this from Ben of Cloud Kicker, and I knew that this band had potential a few years back. And now coming out with Planet Silver Screen, being on a label and having music videos, this band is going to probably blow up. This is like Tears for Fears mixed with Mastodon had a baby, and it's sort of a combination of sounds that screws with your mind a little bit, but it just works. It's amazing that a band like this can exist, and they're a very interesting band, and I can't say enough great things about their originality and uniqueness. So definitely check out 4-Stroke Baron with Planet Silver Screen coming in at number 8. All right, coming in at number 7, this makes me so happy to be featuring so many friends on this list this year. This is Wolfsmith with their self-titled record, Wolfsmith. Seeing them kind of grow up and progress and finally get this music out just brings such a smile to my face. Not only is it well deserved, but oh man, it just rocks, man. This is the best parts of mid-70s Thin Lizzy-esque guitar-driven rock. And although it's not the most original thing, that's not really the point. It's supposed to bring you the biggest smile to your face and just have you throw up those horns, headbang, and just enjoy yourself. It's a masterfully done piece of work, and I couldn't be more happy with the way that they turned this out. I really hope people get to hear it and enjoy it from this video, because it's incredibly well deserved. So Wolf Smith coming in at number 7 with their self-titled debut full length. Coming in at number 6 is Ghost with Prequel. This is sort of a love it or hate it band with sort of a love it or hate it record. When I first heard it, I was a bit surprised with the approach. It's a bit more 80s based, a bit more poppy, very polished, very radio friendly, but at the same time the sound and clarity and production on this record was just phenomenal. You know, this band continues to morph and grow, and I can only imagine what the next few years and the next few albums are going to bring from this band. I really loved it, and honestly, the song Miasma is probably one of the best instrumentals I've heard all year. Sound of this record is just incredible. So, once again, this is Ghost with Prequel. Coming in at number 5 is Tesseract with Sonder. This is another band that I've been a fan of for so many years, and it's cool to see how many variances that a band can go through. Much like their last record, we sort of saw them take a backseat with the technicality and put a focus more towards melodic structure and accessibility. I gotta say, they knocked it out of the park again, and the record certainly had a lot in there to pique my attention for that many listens. So gotta give it to Tesseract once again with Sonder coming in at number 5. Number 4, this one leading up to the end of the year had Album of the Year potential written all over it, but when it came out, it fell just a little bit short, and it's no fault of their own. It is what it is. This is Haken with Vector. They sort of took a bit more of a streamlined approach. The record is a lot shorter than their last few full lengths have been. It seems like they refined their songwriting a little bit. Songs aren't as lengthy, but the record still rocks. I love the subject matter of the songs with the psychoanalysis and weird doctors' practices and stuff like that. I think it was really cool. Definitely fits them quite well. I just wish that the record either had more songs or the songs were longer. I don't know, but the mixing is phenomenal. Nolly did a great job. The drum sound is freaking enormous on the final track. Dude knows what he's doing. So, coming in at number 4, Haken Vector, another great release from this band. Coming in at number 3 is easily my most listened to EP of the year. This is only 4 songs. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, how did a full length that I said was too short get beat by an EP? Well, it was just that good. So, this is Pliny with Sunhead, and this may only be 4 tracks long, but the densely packed layers in each of these songs is masterfully done. Masterfully done. I mean, I saw an interview with him that said that the songs were made to be incredibly dense but have a repeatability. But the songs here on this EP are probably the most sophisticated that he's done, and it shows that a lot of time went into this. I remember listening to this EP probably 10 times a day for months. It's just that good, and I'm still not tired of it yet. Coming in at number 3, Pliny with the Sunhead EP. Alright, and we're almost there. Yeah, the number 2 spot was kind of a battle going into this. Really thinking about it, it only seemed right to do it this way. So this is Between the Buried and Me with Automata Parts 1 and 2. Now I know this is also a 2-album release, but the plan was to originally have this as one record. They said it was recorded as such. The record label decided to release it in 2 parts, which is cool because the second part of a lengthy piece of music did have a chance to shine, and they both did have quite different vibes. But since that was the intention from the band going into it, I'm going to count it as one record with the 2 parts. Some of the parts did really have to grow on me. If you were to ask me earlier in the year where this would have fallen, it would have probably been lower on the list, but having repeated listens, this was probably the highest that it could have gone, because number one was without question undeniable in terms of my perspective. So let's get to talking about that. So much like last year's winner, it was pretty clear what the number one was going to be this year. I really didn't have to think too hard. Yeah, I'm really satisfied and, solid with this number one choice. This one really brought me a lot of happiness this year, and it is a true return to form for this band. Coheed and Cambria coming in at number one this year with Vaxis Act 1, The Unheavenly Creatures. They have finally returned to their Amory Wars concept with a new, 5-part series. Man, Claudio, boy, I love you. So, what can I say? With their last release, The Color Before the Sun, the music was kind of different. It really seemed like they aged a bit with that release. This record and the Unheavenly Creatures concept, they have released probably the best record since No World for Tomorrow. Perhaps even the best record since Fear Through the Eyes of Madness. Although Fear Through the Eyes of Madness is always going to be my top album from the band, they definitely wrote one of the best records of their entire career this time around. Now this is a record that you kind of have to dedicate a lot of time to. 15 tracks long. There's a lot of lyrics, a lot of different types of sounds on all the songs, different moods. It's one that was undeniable to be number one. They sound so young and revitalized. The energy sounds like it never left them. This really sounds like it could have been recorded 10 years ago. Claudio sounds great, the band sounds great. It's quite obvious that a lot of care went into writing this record. All the lyrics, all the concept images, the melodies, the song flow, and just the overall feeling that you get at the end of the record. There's plenty of tongue-in-cheek homages to their earlier work that diehard fans will obviously catch. And, it was a nice touch. It really just ties the whole universe together. I can't believe that this is going to be the first of a 5-part series going on forward from this. So yeah, Vaxis Act 1 definitely got the ball rolling for this new concept for them. And again, I could just talk about this ad nauseum, but I would just prefer you listen to it and enjoy it as much as I did. And that's it. Vaxis Act 1 by Coheed and Cambria. The Unheavenly Creatures coming in at number 1. Top album of 2018. And that's it, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the list. Hope it was worth the wait. I hope to make 2019 a bit more productive in terms of getting stuff out to you and just doing some cool things in general. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with me after all these years. Hope you all have a great new year. I'll leave it at that. Take care of yourselves, everybody.